Can three words threaten the stability of East Asia? In the case of Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi, the answer seems like a terrifying yes. Survival threatening situation. In Tokyo's legal playbook, those specific words are a loaded gun. They act as the legal trigger, allowing Japan, a pacifist nation, to deploy its military for collective self-defense. However, on November 7th, the Prime Minister used this term only to refer to situations such as a hypothetical Chinese attack on Taiwan, which could trigger Japanese military action. China didn't just object. They launched a diplomatic offensive. Refusing to retract her statement, Takaichi has found herself at the center of the region's biggest crisis in years. Diplomatic ties are unraveling, fighter jets are scrambling, and the economic relation is expected to take a hit. But why did she say it? And more importantly, can Japan's fragile economy survive the consequences? To understand this crisis, we have to rewind to 2015. Under Takaichi's mentor Shinzo Abe, Japan passed a controversial law reinterpreting its pacifist constitution. This law permits Japan to exercise collective self-defense in certain situations, even if it is not directly under attack. For decades, Japan maintained strategic ambiguity regarding Taiwan. But Takaichi is arguing that a crisis in Taiwan would inevitably encircle Japan. But China sees this as a direct threat to the post-war international order. They've even dragged this to the United Nations, accusing Japan of resurrecting its militaristic past. But this narrative clashes with the reality on the island. Taiwan's 23 million people have rejected Beijing's claim, saying a return to China is not an option. But here is the problem. Takaichi is picking this fight at the worst possible time. Japan represents the world's fourth largest economy, but the engine is sputtering. Growth is slow, inflation remains persistent, and the Prime Minister is scrambling to pass stimulus packages just to keep things moving. And it's not just money, it's people. Japan is facing a severe fertility crisis. The population has been shrinking since 2011. The country is aging. The workforce is shrinking, and now they are staring down the barrel of a trade war with the one country they can't afford to lose. Because China isn't just a neighbor, it is the dominant player in Japan's external trade. Between 2018 and 2024, China accounted for 20% of Japan's entire trade volume. And if trade takes a hit, Japan will struggle to find a partner to fill the void. It's not just volume, it's also vulnerability. Reuters reports that 60% of Japan's rare earth metals come from China. We have seen China weaponize rare earth before against the US, and they could potentially turn against Japan. Since the diplomatic row began, China has frozen cultural exchanges, told tourists to skip vacations to Japan, and slapped bans on Japanese seafood. So, if the economic cost is this high, then why did the Japanese Prime Minister double down? The answer could lie simply in the geography. Look at the map. This is the Taiwan Strait. In 2022, over $440 billion of Japan's trade passed through this narrow strip of water. If access to this strait is compromised, it disrupts Japan's major trade route. Till September this year, Japan sourced 60% of its integrated circuits and half of its semiconductors directly from Taiwan. In Takaichi's view, defending Taiwan isn't ideology, it's supply chain security. Rising tensions also coincide with high defense expenditures. Defense spending in Japan has reached a 70-year high of 1.8% of GDP this year. The number of times Japan has had to scramble to intercept Chinese aircraft has also been rising. A scramble refers to the emergency dispatch of aircraft by the country's air self-defense force when an unidentified aircraft is suspected of violating Japanese airspace. In 2024 alone, Japanese forces had to scramble over 700 times to intercept Chinese and Russian aircraft. Prime Minister Takaichi has drawn a line in the sand, refusing to retract her statement and by planning to deploy missiles on an island near Taiwan. But with a shrinking population, a fragile economy, and massive dependence on Chinese trade, it's a gamble with incredibly high stakes. And this brings us to the most critical piece of this puzzle, the United States. Chinese leader is playing hardball. In a call with President Trump, the Chinese leader reportedly stated that Taiwan's return to China is a key part of his vision for the world order. While the White House reaffirmed its support for Japan initially, recent reports indicate that Washington's latest response was not the public backing Japan might have expected. Instead of offering support, sources tell Reuters and the Wall Street Journal that Trump explicitly asked her to dial down the volume. China's strategy relies on silence and isolation. And now, Japan, facing a hostile superpower and a fragile economy, is suddenly looking very alone. Thank you for watching this video, and for more such videos, please subscribe to The Hindu.